Hello everyone, my name is Cao Relin. Our team members are Feng Dajun and Zhao Fangyang. Our topic is urban development impacts. Our presentation is divided by 5 parts. Introduction, problem, analysis of soil degradation, recommendations, and conclusion. Now, let's start the first part. Land degradation can be defined simply as a detrimental reduction in the capability of the land to support a particular use. To be specific, viewed from chemical and biophysical perspectives, land degradation reduces the quantity and the quality of land, thereby causing a reduction of economic value. According to Huxley, land degradation directly affects 1.5 billion people globally. Since the most of human activities are based on the land, it is significant to exploit the land sustainably and eco-friendly. This presentation aims to examine the issue on urban development impacts and finally present recommendations that how to address the problems caused by urban development in the Great Blue Mountain. From my point of view, the increasing urban development has led to land clearing, fragmentation of bushland, and the loss of the habitat, which resulted in isolated pockets of remnant vegetation in urban areas. The method of this presentation is below. To begin with, we conducted discussion along the field trip among peers and local environment staff. Secondly, study group work on researching related article material on the internet. Goals of urban development in the Great Blue Mountains. The benefits of solving the problem to local residents is below, such as living in better conditions. For local business, environmental sustainability is strongly helpful to financial sustainability. For government, reduce the investment of preservation on environment. The outcomes of achieving goals. Firstly, these methods protect the biodiversity. Secondly, prevent fragmentation, which can lead to inbreeding depression. Thirdly, decreasing the emissions of greenhouse gas so that prevent the global warming. The perspectives of government are protecting native species, public interest, and the economy. The perspectives of business, maximizing the profits and minimizing the wastes. The perspectives of individual remain the hospital environment for human surviving. For government, the decisions help save the funding which allocate to environmental conservation. For business, the decisions enable the local tourism increase the economy because of the attractive environment. For individuals' values, the decisions help the living conditions such as preventing water pollution, protecting the residents who live at the base of mountains from debris flow. Now, Feng Dajun will introduce the next part.
Thanks, Toroli. Now I will give the analysis of land degradation. First of all, let's look at the trends. The scientific committee established by the Threatened Species Conservation Act, has made a final determination to list clearing of native vegetation as a key threatening process on Schedule 3 of the Act. Listing of key threatening processes is provided by Part 2 of the Act. The scientific committee has found that, first of all, clearing of native vegetation is recognized as a major factor contributing to loss of biological diversity. Secondly, land clearance is listed as a key threatening process under the Commonwealth Environment Protection and Biodiversity Act in 1999. Thirdly, in New South Wales since 1788, at least 61% of the original native vegetation has been cleared, thinned, or substantially or significantly disturbed. The proportion of area cleared varies between region and community type, and in some cases has exceeded 90%. Now let's move on to the current trend. According to State of the Environment report for the City of Blue Mountains, in recent years, land clearing in the Blue Mountains has been limited to smaller subdivisions and clearings within particular land lots. The need to slow and repair land degradation is now built into Australian legislation, secondary and tertiary education, rural production systems, and community programs. However, despite changes in attitude and practices, we are still experiencing a net loss of native vegetation throughout the Blue Mountains. And while soil loss is occurring at a lesser rate now, it is still faster than the rate at which soil is formed, which means that soil-based agriculture is not sustainable in the long term. Water quality cannot be restored to that found before European settlement, and the net loss of biodiversity is continuing. Now let's move on to the conditions of the problem. There are several causes of land degradation that derive from the urban development. First of all, the local natural water system can be affected by the following factors: the effects of urban stormwater pollution, the extraction of groundwater, the sewage overflows, the release of effluent into streams by sewage treatment plants, and water consumption. All of the above human-related activities can result in the poor water quality in the local ecosystem, which may correspondingly lead to land degradation. Moreover, with the increasing cleared land is required for urban development, both land clearing and vegetation clearing has been widely conducted. This can lead to the fragmentation of bushland, and consequently, land degradation may become a more serious issue. Finally, let's look at the projection. First one, the biodiversity. Destructions of habitat results in loss of local populations of individual species. Many species of plants and animals rely on specific habitats in order to survive. Once these habitats are lost or degrade, there is usually a significant effect on biodiversity. The second one is the fragmentation. Clearing of native vegetation often results in fragmentation, the process by which initially continuous areas of habitat are separated into a number of smaller areas. Fragmentation impacts include the creation of small isolated populations with limited gene flow between populations, leading to inbreeding depression and reduced potential to adapt to environmental change. Fragmentation also leads to the loss or severe modification of the interaction between species, including those interactions that are important for the survival of species. Small isolated populations may be subject to local extinction from stochastic events. The hostility of the surrounding environment is a major factor in limiting movement of organisms organism between patches. The physical environment within patches may be altered as a result of creation of edges and influences. The third one, increased greenhouse gas emissions. Clearing of native vegetation can result in emissions of greenhouse gases, both from burning of cleared vegetation and from the loss of soil or organic matter. Agricultural practices after clearing may further contribute to greenhouse gas emissions. Now, let's have Fang Yang to continue our presentation.
Thank you, Feng Dajun. Based on those conditions, effective management measures become more important than before. Although nowadays, Australia has some management measures, it still can't achieve the balance between ecosystem and urban development. There are two main problems from various dimensions, which focus on nature and human. First, I will focus on nature. I will list 3 points. The first is that the area of protection is too large. Second, the nature has some uncertain factors. The last one is some natural problems which are irreversible. Now, I will move on other problems that will focus on human. There are two main factors. First, the area of potentials lack effective measures. Second, the fund is limited. Based on those problems, we recommend improved management measures. Before implement this recommendation, we should need to do a few aspects of the investigation. Investigating the area of protected areas determines the environmental aspects of the area. Investigating the number of staff in this area based on those research, we could alternative action. First, if the area of potential is too large, we could divide it into small units to manage. Second, we do our best to identify the environmental factors that will reduce the uncertainty and the number of irreversible problems. Thirdly, if the amount of staff is not enough to manage the area, volunteers' activities can be launched to participate in the conservation of ecosystem. Moreover, more professionals are called together to discuss more effective ways to manage the Blue Mountains ecosystem. Although the alternative management method is effective to improvement, the government funds are not thinkable devoted to protecting the ecosystem. Therefore, the listing general public may make these methods of management more effective than before. Through these recommendations may improve the imbalance between ecosystem and urban development. Now, I will move on next part. This part, I will conclude this presentation. The goal of presentation is how to balance between ecosystem and urban development to improve the sustainability of the ecosystem. The main problem is land degradation. The main conditions are in fact of urban stormwater pollution, extraction of groundwater, sewage overflows, release of effluent into streams by sewage treatment plants, and water consumption and land cleanings and vegetation cleanings. Those conditions will bring those trends. First, that lead to loss of biologicals and land cleanliness cleaning in the past. Secondly, while the local government has already made some effects on the mitigating land degradations, such as legislations, education, and limiting land cleanings. The loss of biodiversity and the loss of native vegetation still exist. Thirdly, if this issue is not taken serious, biodiversity fragmentations of vegetation area and increased greenhouse gas emissions will become negative consumptions that will require more spend to solve them. We recommend a management method to reduce this problem. When we recommend these management methods, first of all, we analyze the extent problem of management methods, and then we list several factors for future research. At last, we improve the traditional management methods. With population growth, urban development is an important trend. So balancing urban development and ecosystem is very important in the futures. Therefore, as a significant aspect of urban development, the adverse impacts of land degradation should be taken more seriously. This is end our presentation. Thanks for your listening.